Welcome to OkState Daily. Casey Porter here. So glad that you decided to tune in. Joined as I am each and every week by Scott McKinley. Hey, Scott, a couple of things that you mentioned very heavily on last podcast going into the regionals that really stuck out for me. You said the Cowgirls had to play clean defense, only one error, and that was in the first game, and it had really no effects on as far as the scoreboard goes at all. So the defense was good, like you said. Then you also said they can't start slow. Well, Kentucky scores the 2 runs in the winner's bracket game, and then Jillian Poulard gets the offense going right off the bat. So 2 of the biggest keys for you, the Cowgirls did this weekend.
Yeah, that was that first inning for Kentucky. There was kind of some weird bounces, just some things, just kind of some oddities. But I knew when we came back in the bottom of the first and we got the bats going pretty quickly. I to be honest with you, I wasn't really all that worried because you could tell we were going to be swinging the bats well for the weekend. And like I said, we played clean defense. That's something we've kind of been on that kick for I'd say a month or so, that we really haven't played good defense, but we did this last weekend and it showed. We won a lot more comfortably than we would have otherwise.
It's always nice whenever you play a 4-team regional when you get to beat all 3 teams that are in the bracket. There is no denying who the best team is coming out of that. Of course, you beat Northern Colorado, a very just kind of scrappy team, a team that isn't the easiest first-round game whenever you're a national seed like the Cowgirls are. I mean, it's not just a total pushover, right? I mean, they pushed Lexi Kilfoyle and Ivy Rosenberry, and then you beat Kentucky in the second game after the crazy game where they beat Michigan, and then you beat Michigan in the last day. And I always say this, and I actually had this conversation the other day. When you are the 1 seed, and you always look at it and you go, well, that 3 seed, look at that 3 seed. You want a really good 3 seed in your bracket because then that 2 seed and that 3 seed really have to duke it out. We saw that this weekend.
Yeah, it's funny. I've always root for that 2 versus 3 matchup to go about 31 innings, yeah. And they have to use every arm that they have to throw, that kind of deal. But no, I mean, like I said, it was great that we beat all 3 teams in the regional. I felt the first night against Northern Colorado, it was I call it a workmanlike effort. Yeah, it wasn't. We didn't just blow them out, but it was. You could tell we were the better team. Boy, I tell you, Jillian Poulard, my gosh, man, I mean, she has just been absolutely just raking at the plate here recently. I mean, if I was them, I'd walk her.
Yeah.
Right now, I mean, because she's been on a tear just the last couple of weeks. But and I tell you, Lexi Kilfoyle, again, in my opinion, she's one of the best pitchers in the country. There's nobody else that I'd want in the circle. One thing that I was really glad to see is that she got kind of some extended work when you look at overall throughout the weekend. We were lucky on Saturday that her pitch count didn't get that high. That was one good thing I was looking forward to, going into the Sunday matchup. Is that she pitched, basically the whole game, but her pitch count still stayed fairly low, so we're able to use her again on Sunday. That's something I think that we're going to need, because we're going to need her to come up big this next week, because I got to looking more into Arizona. We're going to have our hands full this weekend.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I was talking about Bill Van Ness, the KSBI radio play-by-play voice, and he was saying, hey, don't make any mistake about it. Arizona is going to be a better team than anybody the Cowgirls faced this last weekend, and it would not surprise him whatsoever if the Lady Wildcats came into Stillwater and won that regional. Now, having said that, I think if both teams play to their capabilities, I think the Cowgirls win, and I think probably we're not, totally stressed out about it. But, hey, I mean, it's softball, it's amateur athletics, it's athletics to begin with, the ultimate reality TV event, right? So anything can happen.
Yeah, I got to looking at Arizona's schedule. They got a number of good quality wins on there. Yeah. They took one from Stanford. They nearly beat UCLA in the Pac-12 tournament. They beat Washington. They got a series. They took 2 out of 3 from Oregon. So I mean, this Arizona team, I would not. We better not take them lightly, because I think they're pretty good. One thing I did see in the statistics, their best pitcher, I believe her ERA was over 3. So pitching is probably not their strong suit. But obviously they were good enough to go into Arkansas and get the wins there. They went undefeated in that regional. So no, I think Arizona is also one of those that they're a traditional softball power. They've had a good quality, solid program for a long time. They're able to get kids in there that know what it's all about. They're hardworking. So yeah, I mean, Cowgirls better come to play. Like you said earlier, it would not shock me at all for the games this weekend to go into that if necessary game.
These supers are really exciting because those 3 games here, most of the time in a four-team regional, you have 2 teams that are quite a bit better than the last 2 teams, right? Yeah. So it does kind of turn into a 2-team, 3-game type scenario because your 1 and 2 seeds end up playing 3 times. Whoever wins the best 2 out there. Of course, that didn't happen last weekend because Kentucky and Michigan were so close. But I only say that to say that winner's bracket game in the regional game is pretty much like that 2 out of 3 type deal. Whoever wins that first game in a best 2 out of 3, I've seen it both ways, but more times than not, that's the one that really gives you the advantage, the first game.
Yeah, one of the things we always talk about is, okay, well, how do you pitch it? Well, I'm assuming if we throw Kilfoyle the first night, if we win that one, okay, now we've got a lot more flexibility with things that we can do, because the worst case scenario will be we throw Kilfoyle Friday night, we get beat. Okay, well, now we have to win Saturday to extend the season. Well, who do you throw? Do you throw a Tyre Kilfoyle? Do you have to throw Rosenberry? Do you need to throw Aycock at a certain point? So really, to me, like you just said, it's very, very important we come out and we get that first one in order to give us some flexibility on pitching. Because obviously we can't. I don't want us to have to throw Lexi every single inning. I mean, obviously she's proven that she's there if it's required, if it's needed. But boy, it'd be nice to give her a little bit of rest in there along the way.
Yeah, especially considering that Ivy Rosenberry, I know Bill mentioned this when I had a chance to talk to him. How about this? She's been dealing with a broken rib. I mean, that's golly, man. That girl right there is tough.
Yeah, that's and she's been dealing with it for some time. I mean, we talked about it, against in the OU series. She was just a straight up warrior when she went out there and pitched as well as she did. So yeah, so any kind of rest we can get her, but at the same time, we got to get Lexi some rest in there at some point as well. But I think the biggest key I see this weekend is the same thing we've been talking about. We've got to play clean defense, keep swinging the sticks, which we have been. And I do think with Arizona's pitching, I think we're going to have opportunities to get some big hits. But again, we got to play good, solid defense behind our pitching staff. You can't expect strikeouts every single time they come up.
Another thing the Cowgirls did this weekend is, of course, they always hit the long ball. I was very proud of Caroline Wong, though. Caroline Wong, a young lady who hits a lot of long balls, just like we talk about all year, just tried to be a great hitter. Took the hits that were given to her, took what the pitcher gave her. I say that to say that one thing I think really helped the Cowgirls this weekend is they drew a bunch of walks, man. When this is a Cowgirl team that can get on base via the base on balls, they're going to hit home runs. They're going to get base hits. And if you put these Cowgirls on base for free, watch out. I'm looking forward. I think that's the biggest key. Can the Cowgirls draw walks this weekend?
Yeah. Again, we got to get runners on. To kind of use a wrestling reference with Caroline. If you got one of your better wrestlers and you think, well, they've got to get us back points in order for us to win. Okay, that's not really where they got to win their match. And Caroline gets up there, and you know what? A hit's a hit. I mean, you get up there. This is not an easy game to get a hit. So, even if you get a single, hey, that's still a positive thing that we can. Okay, next person up, maybe they'll get the big fly or get another single. We just keep going. But yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I think continuing to show a good eye at the plate, draw walks, get people on, and then somebody's got to get hit at the right time. I'll tell you another one that was really fun to watch. Speaking of hitting, is that one that Carly Godwin got a hold of. Wow. Oh my gosh. I mean, that ball was absolutely crushed. That was an absolute no-doubter.
It was. Carly Godwin has so much confidence, and so does Rosie Davis. The young players in his team, it's amazing to me. Rosie Davis comes out in a big environment, 3 for 3 first game. It's just amazing to me just how unfazed these young players are in this pressure-packed postseason environment. And then against OU and all the big games they played in this year.
Yeah, and speaking of Rosie, one thing I was going to highlight with her is I can't remember which one. I want to say it was want to say it was a Michigan game. I don't know. Games are starting to run together to me on this at this point. But she actually made a base running mistake. We had to hit the single that went out to left field, and it was misplayed by the left fielder. But Rosie turned the wrong way, and she wasn't able to score. But then the very next play, we had a pop up and foul ground. Third baseman goes over, catcher goes over. They catch it. Nobody's covering home. Rosie tags up. She swipes the plate. So to me, that showed a lot of maturity that, okay, you got to have a short memory in this game. Okay, you made an error. Okay, it doesn't matter. Come back and let's get the next one. And just being able to do that, and then the heads up play to realize nobody's covered home and I can take it. And she did. I mean, that was just absolutely phenomenal ball playing by Rosie Davis.
So the thing that, the way I evaluate this is my coach's brain goes to, okay, if there's going to be a blowout, it's probably going to be Oklahoma State blowing out Arizona. If there's a team that can lose the first game and win the next two, I think OSU could more easily do that for the simple fact that anytime you get into a loser's bracket game and you have your backs against the wall, typically speaking, the way that you bust your way out of that is through offense. You just score a bunch of runs, and then once you know as well as I do, Scott, it's the offense that gets the excitement going, right? I mean, Jillian Poulard, all of her excitement's great, but it always comes after a home run or a double or some kind of hit, right? So you get that offense going in the loser's bracket. That creates momentum. That creates excitement. And then all of a sudden, you're rolling from that perspective. So a lot of the things that make me feel better about this weekend is I feel like, yes, I think the Cowgirls are better suited to win game one, but then even if they don't, I think they're the better team between the two to win the next two in a row if they had to.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think if you look on paper, just with who we have in the circle, with what we've got in the lineup, OSU is the better team going into this weekend. I think the strangest thing with Arizona is they can be very streaky. As an example against Stanford, they got run ruled on a Friday night and then came back and run ruled Stanford on a Saturday night. I mean, so that's kind of one way or the other. But like you said, on paper, the Cowgirls have got the better talent this weekend. They do. But again, it's just like what we've been doing the last few weeks. We got to come out and we got to show it. I think, in my opinion, I think with as well as we're swinging the bats right now, as hard as Lexi Kilfoyle is throwing right now, I would pick OSU in this game. But again, there's all kinds of X factors. We come out, we commit, 3 or 4 errors, that changes things. If we come out and we're starting to swing at rise balls that are out of the zone, that's going to change things. So I think just continue to stay disciplined, do the things that we do well, and continue to pitch well and continue to play defense well. And I think we'll have a good shot this weekend.
This team seems very resilient too. It does, being down maybe a run or two like we saw in the second game early, but even late, going all the way back even to the beginning of the year, it doesn't bother this team to go into the 4th or 5th inning trailing by a couple of runs. They just always know that at some point the offense is going to show up, and they just keep hammering away at it.
Yeah, I mean, that's. I think you're exactly right, and I think particularly like you mentioned earlier with the younger players, they've adopted that same mentality with the more veteran players, because we've got a good mix of young talent and veterans on this team, but they don't seem to be phased. They just keep playing, which is really what you want. That the great thing about this sport is it's not over until that final out. It's not like football where if you're down 30 points with a minute left, it's practically over. Softball, until that last final out is caught, you're still in it. And our girls have adopted that mantra.
Yeah. Okay. So let's look at some of the things that could go wrong. If the Cowgirls were to lose this weekend, if the Arizona Lady Wildcats were to come into Cowgirl Stadium and pull the big upset, I'm going to call it a big upset. I think it would be definitely a big upset if the Cowgirls did not win this weekend. I am very confident with that. But hey, don't blame me if it doesn't happen, right? I'm not challenging the softball guys. Don't get me anything wrong. I have nothing to do with it, right? But if it were to happen in Arizona to come in to pull the big upset, what would be the reasons why?
I think to me the reasons would be is one, we got to continue to play clean in the field. Again, you come out and you commit 3, 4, 5 errors, that'll get you beat against even a not good team. I do think that we got to continue to stay disciplined at the plate. We've been doing a very good job of swinging at good pitches. If we start chasing stuff out of the zone, it makes their pitcher a lot better than they actually are. So we've got to do that. And I think that's it. I think we will continue to get good outings by Rosenberry, by Kilfoyle. I think we've just got to make sure we button it up on defense and continue to have good at bats at the plate.
Any concern about Kilfoyle throwing excess of 250 pitches last weekend? Any hangover to that, or hey, you have the adrenaline and almost a week off?
The thing I think what I look at with that is one, you can extend a pitcher in softball more than you can baseball. Baseball, you really do hit a wall around 100 pitches. Unless you're Nolan Ryan going, 140 pitches, whatever it was he used to throw back in the day. I think the main thing that I look at with pitchers is if they start to labor, and what I mean by that is they're not quite as sharp on hitting their spots. Their off speed isn't quite hitting exactly like it should. Those are the things that you got to watch for that. But, but I'll be honest with you, Lexi looked sharp. I mean, even with all the pitches that she threw last weekend, she looked sharp in pretty much every outing that she had. So, I think those would be things to watch out for. Again, I think it is very, very important that you win the first one, because that gives you a lot more flexibility on how you pitch it in the second one. Do you start Kilfoyle in the second one and just go after it? Do you start Rosenberry and then maybe bring Kilfoyle in kind of as a closer? If you lose the first one, well, now all of a sudden your options they're kind of dwindling. So we really need to come out Friday night and get that first one down.
We've kind of seen Coach Gajewski and the coaching staff there do a little bit of every type of different philosophy. The old high school philosophy, if you have two pitchers, you throw your second best one first, and you say, hey, gals, all we need to do is get through the first 3 innings tied, and then we got our dude coming in, and it's game, set, and match for us, right? We've seen that philosophy. We've also seen, I should say, as you mentioned, hey, let's just go for the throat. Throw out Kilfoyle. Let's try to get about a 6-run lead and be done with that. We've also seen him throw a combination of Aycock and Rosenberry, and then just relied on Kilfoyle to win on that Sunday game too, and trusted Aycock and Rosenberry. So, hey, it's up in the air. If you think you know how this pitching is going to go this weekend in terms of how it's going to set up, I promise you don't. That oil is burning right now.
Yeah, and and the other thing is things can change depending upon the outcome of the game. If let's say we start Kilfoyle Friday night, and all of a sudden we put up 5 runs in the first inning, and we hold that until about the third or the fourth. Well, all right, maybe let's give her a break. There's the things inside the game can change that, but like I said, I think the real good news is that we've got 2 arms that I think are very, very good in that circle. Again, I got a good tip of the cap to Ivy Rosenberry for having to deal with what she's had to deal with the pain and everything. But boy, it hadn't phased her. She's still a good, solid arm to put out in that circle, even with the rib issue.
Man, I know the offense is great and the talent is great between Kilfoyle and Wong, but still, too, though, just having such veteran presence to you in the circle, and your battery mate. I mean, your pitcher and your catcher. They are the two guys, the two ladies that touch the ball on every single play, no matter what, right? Well, the catcher, I guess, doesn't touch it if the ball gets hit, but you kind of get what I'm saying here. So to have veterans in both of those positions that just don't panic, they have that chill mentality, they're never worried about things, they have the proper perspective on everything, that goes a long, long ways.
Yeah, it does. Because it's your younger players, they're going to mimic what they see with your older players, and if your older players are setting the tone, you don't see them panic. You just see them just staying. Go to work, stay disciplined, do all the things that to do. It really does have a ripple effect in your younger players as well. Speaking of Caroline, one thing I always like to watch her is she does a pretty good job back there on the borderline pitches. There's a couple times me as an umpire, I'm like, she kind of baited the umpire into that one. But you know what? A good catcher, if a good catcher sells it properly and catches it properly, nobody says a word and you can get a strike. Umpires, we're looking for strikes.
Absolutely. And outs.
yeah, we're looking for strikes and outs. Those are the 2 things we're trying to find, You
don't get paid by the hour as an umpire?
No. If we did, boy, it'd be a walkathon.
Yeah, no doubt, because like the sooner you get the 27 outs, right, then the faster you get to leave, right?
Yeah. That's the only goal for an umpire is they hope it's a quick game.
Absolutely. Hey, Scott, final thoughts. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fun. I think if, the intangible, I think Cowgirl Stadium is going to be rocking this weekend. I think it's going to be a great atmosphere for softball. I really do hope that our girls will come out and play as they have all season. This has been a phenomenal season. We've got a lot of wins with this team. I just really would like, let's get one more series win. Let's get back to Oklahoma City. And then once you get there, hey, let the chips fall where they may.
No doubt about that. Anything surprised you on the scoreboard over the weekend as far as who advanced through regionals and who didn't?
Some, it was kind of interesting. Liberty beating Georgia was interesting. Mm-hmm. I'll be honest with you. I was a little surprised that Arizona went into Arkansas. Well, not necessarily that Arizona won that regional, because we knew that, okay, that was a possibility, but Arkansas really didn't play well at all. They got to end up getting beat by Villanova. Arkansas wasn't even in the regional final, which that really surprised me.
Hey, Villanova gave both those teams a run for their money.
Yeah, they did. And Oregon actually, in my opinion, competed better against OU than what I had anticipated. That's as tough of a regional as you're going to get going down there. Texas, walked through their regional, not surprised at all. Nothing about that. Omaha took Missouri down to the wire. That was really a fun series to watch. But no, I think the overall theme that I saw from regionals this last weekend is I really do believe there's more parity this year than what we've seen in the last few years. Because in the last few years, you just had a couple of teams, mainly OU, Texas, OSU, where that's the absolute top. But Tennessee is good. I mean, I think once we get the 8 teams in the Women's World Series, I really do think that we're going to start seeing more and more upsets happening against teams that, you would just assume would just roll through everything easily.
All right, Scott, appreciate you joining. I want to thank everybody else for tuning in to our latest edition of OkState Daily, talking about this wonderful softball team that the Cowgirls have. So thank you to everybody for tuning in, and go Cowgirls, go Pokes. All right, man, awesome job. I'm going to get back